Alright, let's play some Soulstone Survivors. So, I did a really good Paladin run that's going up on YouTube in about 13 minutes. Did I say penguin instead of peglin? You know what? Whatever. I'll make sure I say the same thing in a video, too. So, a couple of things are curses and tier 5 enabled on the Frozen Wastelands. So I think this is the Death Knight. I have not unlocked him yet. We have the Is this the Barbarian? Tier 4 in the Whispering Grove, and we've got that. The one thing is, the Path of Ascension... Oh, does it actually remember what tabs I had open when I had a game running on with the new Steam beta? That's really nice. So the problem is I can only play Barbarian, Pyromancer, Houndmaster, Spellblade, Arcane Weaver, Sentinel, and Paladin to get the benefits here. Was Houndmaster one of those? Yes. So... unfortunately, I think a couple of these characters are not going to be viable for me at the moment. So this is the Barbarian. Do we want to just do a Barbie boy? Do we want to do a Barbie boy or a Houndmaster? I'm kind of up for either. This guy had big bombs, but you know what? Let's go hit stuff for a little while. And which... oh, we don't even have runes yet. I should probably slap them on this guy. Let's see. Well, we want crit mastery, because that's good. Less damage from all sources and much more resistant to knockback. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, chaos. That's for chaos-specific things, kind of, sort of. Let's go weapon expert. We might as well go that in center of attention, just because. Okay. Let's see. Close those. Wait, was there an update? The runes are different. Yes. There is a there was a big update called the Ascension. Ascension something or other. Oh boy, and Frozen Wasteland is the one place that I haven't actually done any of these on. Whatever, it's fine, works for me. Okay. A bit disappointed at the lack of big armor and shield class like Crusader and Diablo. Hopefully the full release gets more. I think I don't need more classes necessarily, I just need more options for them. We'll see. My big beef I think I have with Soulstone Survivors is, while it has a bunch of like scalable abilities, I wish it had a couple more like really interesting moves and synergies. I'll show this off when I do, I'll show this off when I'm playing, let's see. When I'm playing Gunfire Reborn later, because that game has some like really fun scalability and really interesting synergies to play around with. I'd like to play Diablo 4, but I don't want to pay Blizzard, and especially not 70 bucks. I'm in a dilemma. Honestly, I'm not. From my perspective, I'm super down for just not touching a Blizzard product for a while. Ooh, movement speed. This is good. It is physical. And we do need that movement speed and the cast frequency, so Bloodlust is not a bad move. We can also get Shockwave... applies hemorrhage. Both of these are great. Okay, so we're gonna lock skills. I'm gonna go for Bloodlust first. I kind of want all of those. Let's see. But yeah, from my perspective, like, on one hand, it's kind of tempting to pick up Diablo or something like that, but on the other hand, F Blizzard, like, the sad part is I already have Diablo 4. Like, I could play it now if I wanted to. I just don't. Let's see. Oh, do I have to lock it again? Awkward. Whatever. Because I got it with my graphics card, because I didn't have a choice on that one. I was like, hey, graphics card. And it's like, yeah, here's Diablo 4. I'm like, oh, okay. And so it's like, I have it, but I don't really want to play it, because ultimately I think Blizzard as a company has fallen pretty dramatically over the last couple of years. Not a lot of shade on anybody that specifically... Wait, what is this? Is this anything specific, or is it just a visual thing? I think it's just a visual thing. Throw daggers in the area. Nah, I'm just gonna grab Body Slam. I'm not actually sure if all of these are moves that I want to keep, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, there's like 2 of these things for whatever reason. But yeah, Diablo 4, Path of Exile, Compromise, Last Epoch. Last Epoch or, Last Epoch or Grim Dawn. Or, like, a bunch of other things. Want me to take it off your hands? Hell no. Like, just because I've got a spare copy of it doesn't mean I'm gonna hand it out. It doesn't really kind of solve the ethical quandary of further supporting a company that I think is shit. Grim Dawn is a compromise? No. it's a viable alternative, and in fact, probably a better one. It depends, but I don't know. Let's see, Heroic Strike. Do I actually want any of these? Not really, no. Multicast of Body Slam. Which is Body Slam? Because I'm not even... No. Slam, slam, slam. You know, ironically enough, maybe we do want Body Slam. Oh, multiplied based on your max health. Those apply Hemorrhage. That applies Fragility and Stun. So honestly, multicast of Body Slam is good. Especially if I can get it to scale off of my max HP. Let's see. You prevent them from... let's see. Prevent them from buying it and giving them 70 to 90 or whatever. Okay, so your logic is sort of sound, but on the flip side, I just don't think anybody should be buying that. And so, like, to some degree, if you want to buy it, it's your prerogative. I'm not going to save you from that or anything like that. That's stupid. But it is one of those where I am disappointed that it is going to be as popular as it is. And I'm hoping that it's one of those kind of flash-in-the-pan games that people get really into for a while. And then everybody's like, holy shit, this is just like endless cash shop garbage. And then tosses it because not actually good. Do I want to get the Shockwave Totem? It's not a bad idea. It's a lot of hemorrhage. I wonder how many of these I can actually... Maximum of 4 can be up at any time. Diablo 4 rant? Like, I'm not particularly interested in getting, like, too deep into this. It's just kind of one of those where it's like... there are so many great games out there. I have no interest or reason to further support a game that game or a company that I think is trash. Let's see. So this is... Oh, it's a swing. It's frontal, but it's not a slam. Is multiplied based on your armor power, which is kind of tempting. Thunderclap. But the thing is, like, we've got a bunch of frontal slam... Yeah, frontal slams. The only one I'd consider would be, like, switching out Demolish in favor of, like, Thunderclap. But I think I'm fine. Let's just skip actives. I think we're good. Cast frequency, range modifier. No, let's go for this one. Yeah, it's more of a Blizzard rant. Because, like, I'm sure Diablo 4 is great. I'm sure the people that made it is fine, and I hope they do well. But it's also kind of one of those where I hope they either unionize or their company falls apart over the next couple of years. I mean, even to the point where I think Bobby Kotick was quoted talking about how it's a labor witch hunt. Like all of the bad press that Blizzard's been getting recently, which just is, it's so tacky. And also, you know, just demonstrably false. But he can say whatever he wants because he's obscenely rich and no one can really stop him. And so it's kind of one of those where it's like, I've got so many other games on my to-do list. Games by developers who don't suck. Or at least I don't know they suck yet. And so why would I ever, you know, give my time, energy, or money to one of these companies? No matter how shiny their product is. You know, I've still got Tears of the Kingdom to go finish. But I've also got, let's see. Yeah, I guess I'll grab that one. I've got Tears of the Kingdom to go back and finish. I've got Final Fantasy 16 in, what, a week or two? Let's see. That's Area of Demolish. No, I think I want to go for Body Slam. Really push that one. Because some extra max HP isn't a bad idea. Let's see. Damage of the Shockwave Totem. I think I'm going to ignore it for the time being, because that's the one I don't care about at the moment. Doesn't Microsoft own Blizzard? Not yet. And so here's the thing with the whole Microsoft acquisition. I don't like it from a competitive perspective, just because that's a lot. Ooh, rare power for Slam. I like the block power, but that's way too good. Let's see, damage increase further for Body Slam. Yeah, I'm just going to get really good at Body Slamming, I think. So it's not a good thing from a competitive perspective, just because, like, that's a lot of big companies all under one banner. And, like, I don't know how many of you guys specifically remember, ooh, damage for Shockwave. Yeah, I might as well go for the blue. I don't know how many of you guys remember Rare back in the 90s. Like, I don't know how young my viewership is comparatively, but Rare was a absolute juggernaut of a company. Making pretty much every single good N64 game, with, I mean, plenty of exceptions, but if you look at an N64 game, chances are, if it's like one of the really good ones, it was probably made by Rare. Or at least influenced by it, kind of, sort of. GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, like, it's just a bunch of stuff. And so, at some point, Microsoft bought them out. I don't know why Nintendo didn't buy them out first. I don't even know why Rare went in that direction. But whatever, I'm not going to question it too much. Wow, my AoEs are stupidly large already. This is silly. But so, yeah, Microsoft picks up Rare, and then has them make a couple of kind of shit games. Because they made, like, Banjo and Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, but, like, way, way down the line. From what I remember. And, like, a couple of okay collectathon games, but without any kind of, like, support. I think it might have been just too late. You know, at that point, people had already moved on and tech was getting better. But effectively, Rare under Blizzard, or Rare under Microsoft was just kind of a nothing, and then it eventually became their, like, Kinect company, you know, the studio that would make Kinect games, which just felt like a waste of their talents, and it's why you kind of lost collectathons as, like, a style of game, and why they just went away and never came back. I think they might come back at some point, but so it kind of sucked, because if Rare had stayed independent, chances are they would have been able to continue doing what they had been doing for ages, but because they had a bigger parent company, ooh, damage modifier by 15%, or multicast of burst. Now we're going for that. But had they stayed independent, they probably would have continued making interesting and inventive games, but because they got bought out, they pretty much burnt half of their employee base, and that never really recovered. And, like, now they've split off to make whatever the studio that makes ukulele game, I forget the name of it. But even then, it's still kind of one of those, like, shadow of its former self situations where it's not quite there. It's good enough, but it's not, it doesn't have that, like, feeling that it used to. What is a collectathon? You ever play Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Ukulele? Those are all collectathon games. Games that are kind of small open worlds with a ton of bonus objectives that you run around to complete. Complete objectives, gather items, usually. And in doing so, you get some, like, extra power-ups, maybe some health, maybe a new move, or maybe it just unlocks a door where you can go somewhere else. But, like, that genre is functionally gone. There are very few of them. And I'd say, like, open world games are starting to remember, like, oh yeah, collectathons kind of solves a lot of the problems we're having. But it's still one of those that it kind of sucks that that genre went away, because it was just so fun. Like Spyro? Yeah, like Spyro. I would say Spyro always felt a little bit more linear, but I also haven't played a whole lot of Spyro. I've only played the first one to completion, and you know, it did actually have a decent amount of exploration now that I'm thinking about it. Ah, Platonic. That's the people that made Ukulele. There we go. But, so, you know, on one hand, to go back to this whole Blizzard thing, on one hand, I'm hopeful that somehow Microsoft being in charge of Blizzard would get rid of, effectively, the board of directors for Blizzard, and actually give things back kind of to the developers a little bit more. Let them really play in the space and actually make good games again, and not have a very toxic leadership that, you know, seems more intent on sabotaging the company than actually doing anything, you know, good. But on the flip side, Redfall is a thing that literally just happened, and so my confidence in Microsoft as a company has kind of fallen a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw the article specifically for Redfall go by, but apparently over the course of Redfall's development, it had a 70% attrition rate, give or take. And I'm not entirely sure what that attrition rate was, like... Oh, hey, complete a match in less than 12 minutes as the Barbarian. Apparently got me a thing. Sick. Do we want to go... Do you want to go here? Sure, let's go here. Let's see what happens. But, hi. This should be fun. Let's go back to our corner. Let's see. Damage for body slam? Absolutely. But so for Redfall, I don't exactly remember when it was judging, like, the start of that. But I think it was after... It was either after Prey? I think it was after Nope. Don't quote me on this one. It was either after Prey or after Deathloop. But effectively, 70% of the employees that worked at Arcane, left. And, you know, went on to either other studios, quit entirely, who knows. But when you lose 70% of your employees at a company, you lose, like, a massive knowledge base, you lose a decent chunk of culture, you lose a lot of, like, those kind of... How would I describe it? When you're working with somebody, if you've worked with them before, you kind of know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and you know what they know and don't know. And so you can more easily kind of figure out, like, hey, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So you might have one guy that's really good at UI, that's his thing, he does that. Whereas you bring a new programmer on, you bring on a new programmer, either from another studio or a student. You don't know what they're good at, they might not even know what they're good at. And it takes upwards of, like, a year and a half for those people to, like, truly hit their stride. But I would say, like, probably closer to the 3 to 6 months. But it still takes a lot of time to train and, you know, integrate new employees. And so by losing that many people, you lose a lot. It's a lot more than just, you know, manpower. You're losing all of the things that made your studio tick prior. And so for a company like Arcane, who made Dishonored 1, 2, Prey, Deathloop, and, you know, now Redfall, they've lost so much of what made them who they were during the Dishonored days. There's a very real possibility that, you know, we're never going to get a Dishonored 3 that at all matches up with, you know, the first game. And admittedly, I'm not entirely sure if that would even be like a fair requirement or ask for a lot of developers. Dishonored was hard to follow up on. Ooh, this is a big upgrade. 50% for all physical skills, which is just all of my skills. Also, the new employees wouldn't know what the previous people would have in mind. Exactly. And so, like, the smaller and more tight-knit your studio is... did I just insta-gib one of these dudes? I think I did. Let's see. Duration of this one. What is the duration at the moment? It's really good. It's not quite there. Do I want to do... No, let's go for duration on this. Okay, more magnetism. Go from there. I think we killed the boss again. This is, very busted. I'm liking it. The issue with video game programmers is that every person codes differently, so losing someone's a hard thing. New employees have to learn the code of the game and their own programming styles, which messes with people. Yup. Ooh, extra dash or extra movement speed? No, let's go for the extra dash. That's a very rare one to pick up. I should probably come over here and grab these crystals, too. And so, it's part of the reason why critical strikes have a chance to bleed. Yeah, I would have liked that magnet upgrade. Oh, I should have locked it. I'm a fool. It's fine. So it's part of the reason why Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda did so poorly, comparatively, is because, from what I remember, especially for Mass Effect Andromeda, most of the people working on Andromeda weren't the people that worked on Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. And so by losing that many people, being told to then make the same thing or better, while also having the extra pressure of probably, like... I mean, over time, requirements for games go up. With indie games, it's not so bad, but with AAA games, like, you really do kind of have to bring your A game if you want to be charging 60, 70 bucks, otherwise people are going to hate you forever. See Redfall. 10 years ago, Redfall actually would have been a perfectly fine and probably good, like, a perfectly fine and probably good game. I actually like it, but it's also kind of a disappointment because I know they could have done better, potentially. Like, I would have loved to see a much more focused, immersive sim vampire hunting game. I think that could have been cool, but instead they made it kind of this pseudo live service open world, and holy shit, those bosses just melted. Rad? Let's see. Anyway, so where was I even going with this? I guess I'm just in a super roundabout fashion of I'm not entirely sure that even if Blizzard does get acquired by 100% chance to crit. No, let's just go for the 10% extra crit chance. Though I guess we do add our crit chance as extra damage. If I see that one go by again, I'll pick it up. Because we can actually over-crit here, kind of, sort of. This is an absurd run. Like, the only downside is I need more enemies to show up to die faster. Let's see. So, I don't know. I think there's a chance that if Microsoft acquires Blizzard, it will be fine. Blizzard will be better. Hopefully the culture will be more improved. But I could also see them acquiring Blizzard and not getting rid of Bobby Kotick and you know, all of his goons. And then we are left with a shitty company owned by a questionably dubious company. Like, I don't know. My opinion of Microsoft has been dropping with some of their more recent decisions, and it's just kind of like, eh. And I think there was a report, like, even a couple months ago that Microsoft was pretty disappointed in the games division for not pulling enough profit. And so, like, that's a whole thing that I'm also kind of like, yeah, I can see Microsoft just pulling the plug and firing everybody someday. And then Microsoft also has a bad reputation for being pretty anti-union. And, I know there are, you know, bad unions every once in a while, but comparatively, I still think unionization would be really good for most big studios. I brought up Anthem earlier. There was a person talking about it, and they were saying that they were like working 98-hour weeks pretty much for the entirety of Anthem, which only took like 18 months to put together, which is insane. And no one should have to work that much, ever. Like, I know video games are very much like a passion thing and a dream job for a lot of people, but even then, 90 hours a week is, like, actually crimes against humanity. Like, you should... The only reason why anybody should ever do that is if they're being, like, absurdly well compensated and want to do that. But when it's the question of, like, work these hours or get fired... It's not really a choice at that point. I mean, it is, I think, for a lot of people, and a lot of people might even gladly say, like, yep, sure, fire me, but it still sucks. I'm getting a lot of rare moves here. Like, I did a run earlier, and I was just getting nothing but commons, and now I'm just, like, murking things. Bye. He's dead. I didn't even see him die. I didn't even know we had two bosses, and now they are gone. For me, this is part of the reason why I like indie studios, because even if they do want to work, you know, if these guys making this game are working 90-hour weeks, like they shouldn't be, just because that... You hit kind of an upper limit after a certain point where you just can't do any more work, and you start getting distracted, making mistakes, or just... You're not as good, because you need a break, and also having extra experiences makes you a better person. You know, less is oftentimes more. But, at least with an indie developer, if they're pushing themselves that hard, I at least know that, you know, their game is going to specifically, you know, the success of their game is going to directly reflect upon their income. Yeah, 40 hours is a regular week. And even then, 40 hours is actually kind of too much. Damage, area, burn. No, let's just go for damage. I don't think we need more area. Everything is freaking huge already, so who cares? Let's go for the crit damage at this point. The one problem is I cannot see enemy AoEs through my massive explosions. But I also did just kill both bosses in, like, seconds, so... Oh, did we win? I'm just gonna keep going deeper. I don't know what this gets me. Resources, I think. Hello. What is the music on this? I have no idea. You really need a break from time to time. Like, there really is death from overwork. Absolutely. It is a thing that people can experience, and, like, I know, especially in the US, there's kind of this weird hustle culture where it's just like, get a job, then get another job, then get a side hustle, monetize your hobbies, and, like, all this junk. And it's just like, it is the worst for you. I monetize my hobbies, multiple of them, I guess. And, like, it's a great job, but, oh boy, it has its detractions. Okay. 50% extra damage, 2 physical moves. We are just getting the best stuff here. Okay, wait, there's a setting where I can actually see what's going on? Or is it under graphics? Special effects visibility. Let's see what... I think I'm gonna have to turn it back up a little bit, but this is really funny to look at. Just... Like, this is the most, like, solid snaky thing. I don't know why, just a character grunting and gesticulating at people and they're dying. Like, this is totally the New Game Plus meme gun right now. Like, you have beheld my countenance. Die! Hello, bosses! Farewell, bosses! Ooh, crits have a chance of applying wound to the target. Anytime you apply effects while a wound is active, chance they'll be doubled. I should probably get some more effects. Oh, they're just gone. Let's go for some extra area of effects. The bigger that is, hopefully the more we got. Alright, how much you are dead? Yeah, I'm just gonna go for some more AoE. Okay, cast frequency. This is scuffed in actually the best way. I tried to monetize my hobbies and made me hate my hobbies, so I became a janitor instead. Simple, easy work, 3-minute drive from home. Yeah, I can see that actually working. Like, unironically, playing video games for a living has made me hate video games way more than I ever did when I was younger. I realize that might sound absolutely insane, but, like, I can barely play certain types of games because of various things, like playing Tears of the Kingdom. It's a fantastic game. I adore it. I think it's really good. I also think it's kind of dog shit in a way that most people wouldn't. Like, I love the underground section if you've been there yet. I'm not going to talk about that too deeply just because I do know some people haven't played that game extensively. But it's a big area, and it's like, oh, this is cool. I want to explore this, and then I don't even know how much time I put into exploring that area. But I put in a lot into it. I'm not even, like, I don't want to say I'm not even halfway done with it yet. But it's a whole second world map, but it's less interesting. Like, the first time you go down there, it's like, oh, it's really cool. But then after you spend X amount of hours there, you're like, oh, it's just this kind of empty field with some cool monsters to fight. And that's suddenly actually almost kind of worse, in a way. Because it was like such a cool idea. I'm trying to be vague here because I don't want to talk about it extensively, but it's just like, the first time you go there, it's like, this is one of the coolest vibes I think I've ever seen. And then the more time I spend there, the more I'm just kind of like, the novelty of this has gone away, and I hope they make a Tears of the Kingdom 2, so they can make the underground section really cool, and then add, I don't know, maybe a spirit world to spice things up again, or something to that extent. Let's see. Crit damage by 36%, AoE. Oh, this is tough. I'm gonna go for AoE. Make it big. It's a lot of AoEs. I don't even know what I got hit by. We are going to have to turn on visibility here, because this is a problem. But I think it's fundamentally an issue that I have with, it's fundamentally an issue with open world games that a lot of open world games simply have no idea how to fill themselves well. And so I think Tears of the Kingdom is actually probably the best open world game I've played of that size in terms of like things to do. But it still does suffer from the, I have already done this at least a dozen times. I would like to not do it again, thank you. And like if the game had been half its size and twice as dense, I would have actually liked the game so much more. Because you're not supposed to finish games. I know, oddly enough, I was watching Jimquisition on this one. Stack of Bleed, Chance to Poison. Heck yeah. But Jimquisition was doing a specific video on should game reviewers specifically multicast defense. I actually think I want the defense more than anything else. Because I want to sustain myself as best as possible. But, let's see, crit chance. Yeah, let's keep going for the crit chance, because that still gets added to my crit damage. You can't over crit, but you can still do whatever. Ooh, shells come back with plants. What was I even going to say? I was talking about, oh, Tears of the Kingdom, too big, and Stephanie Sterling talking about should game reviewers even finish games, and they were talking about how they didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom and still gave it a review score of like 7 out of 10, which I think is actually a very fair review score from a multicast, frontal, shockwave, body slam. Yeah, let's go for the body slam. Because I'm trying to use the body slam a lot, because it should scale off of my HP and do a ton of damage, which it apparently is. I think I'm going to go for more armor, too. We need durability. Hey, thank you, Mr. Gibberish, for the 17-month resub. Thank you. Wow. We are just cruising. This is, what, 3rd overload? And we are just destroying them. Great. Oh, and we're back to the Ice Realms. But... you know, me playing Tears of the Kingdom, and most games, there's kind of this, like, give and take. Do I finish the game, and how much of the game do I finish before I can really talk about it? You know, is just reaching the ending cutscene enough? Or do you have to 100% the map? Do you have to explore everything? Do you have to do every side quest? Do you have to beat whatever secret boss endgame stuff there is? At what point is it okay for you to stop playing a game, especially as a game reviewer? Because, you know, realistically, you should be giving a expert opinion on, you know, you should be giving an expert opinion on the thing you're playing. It's one of the reasons why I almost never even mention scores, is because I usually play no more than an hour of a game. There's no reason why I should be able to sit down and say, from an expert perspective, this game is only worth this much, or this game is only X, you know, X points good. Because ultimately, I haven't put in the time. I'm going to banish Leviathan. It's super bad. Expansive might have actually been a good idea, but here's another one. Let's see, shouldn't reviewers be specialized in genres of games? It depends. I don't necessarily think so, because how many of you watching this right now are actually specialized in the games you play and enjoy? Let's see, 15% damage modifier or multicast. My multicast chance is much lower, so let's go for that one. Let's see. You know you can banish some of those upgrades. I just did that. But so, I think it is important for people to specialize somewhat. But here's the thing. I don't think it's a good idea for reviewers to specifically have a specialty. Mainly because the industry doesn't really allow that. In a post-capitalist society, maybe that wouldn't be a problem. But, like, from my perspective, well, my perspective, let's go with, easy example, YouTubers and certain things. We all kind of have our specialties and subspecialties. I specialize in everything. But even then, there are certain types of games that I specifically will not cover because it's just not worth it for me to do so. I recently had to I don't want to say like aggressively turn down a sponsorship, but I had a bunch of developers, PR groups and a publisher and the developers themselves asking me to cover a puzzle platformer, and I said no. You know, I will not take this sponsorship. I know it's maybe a good game. I know it's a game that maybe people will like, but I know from my experiences, no one wants to watch me play one of these games. And so I will not be covering it. You know, my viewership is going to be bad, and therefore, you know, since I only upload 2 to 3 videos on YouTube a day, it's almost impossible for me to, you know, cover one of these things and not have it hurt my channel. And so I just am going to avoid most puzzle platformers unless I think it's, like, really worth it. And that creates the kind of problem of, do you just have some sacrificial lamb YouTuber or game reviewer that specifically specializes in puzzle platformers? That's silly. But you do need to review these things. You need somebody to talk about them. And so, like, I have to... Oh, I actually got Gibbs there. And they're dead, but that was an insta-kill. Or maybe a 2-shot? I'm not entirely sure. And so, like, I think it is important for reviewers to have kind of like a generalized vibe. Same thing with YouTubers and whatnot, but specialize us too much and then we become kind of useless. Because if we have to step outside that specialty zone for even a second, it causes problems. And, like, you'll notice very easily, like, on IGN or something, when the Dark Souls guy is given something that isn't in his specialty. I don't actually know if IGN has this issue as much, but every once in a while there's somebody that's just like, yeah, I don't really like open world games, and so why are you doing the review? But on the flip side, you know, I think it is important to actually have somebody that doesn't like a game type. And this is going to sound kind of like madness, but it is very important to capture the opinion of somebody that does not like the thing, rather than somebody that is good at the thing and probably likes it. Because, like, for me, Tears of the Kingdom, I like the game, but I also kind of hate it because I hate open world games, and I don't think it really overcomes a lot of that genre's failings. And so I think for somebody like Stephanie Sterling to say, like, I hate this kind of game, it's not that they're not specialized in it, but they're giving a very unbiased opinion based on somewhat their lack of specialty. Because, once again, if somebody's too specialized, of course they're going to like it. But if somebody doesn't like it, they can give, I don't want to say necessarily a better criticism sometimes. It's a good example of a thing that I don't generally like. I don't like city builders. I think most city builders are kind of bad, because they're all just the same thing. They all play exactly like Banished, and, well, Banished is a fantastic game. I've played Banished before. I don't need more Banished. And so when I played what's the newest city builder? Is it Crate Entertainment made a city builder, settlement builder, very much in the same category as Banished. Do we want to? Yeah, I'm just gonna toss myself in here. And so, like, the newest game by the Grim Dawn developers is a city builder / settlement builder out on the frontier, but it doesn't really play that different to Banished. It's got some different mechanics, it's got some extra structures, but ultimately it just plays like Banished, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just not very into it. However, conversely, there's a game called Ratopia that plays like a cross between Craft the World, Terraria, and Oxygen Not Included. And it's really good, and I'm super excited for it, because it does the thing, it does something completely different from all these other city builders, and also does it rather well. And so just because I'm not specialized in the city builder does not mean that I shouldn't be able to review any of these games and say, like, hey, these are kind of bad in comparison to what they could be. But I think it's also equally valuable kind of within that conversation to have me say, like, hey, I hate city builders and I love this one, because that kind of, this is the exception mentality, or dialogue, superlative. This is the one, I hate these things, but this is the one I like. You know, if somebody hates Thai food and then says, this is the best Thai food I've ever had, I actually recommend it, like, you're gonna pay attention to that one because something is being done right. within that. What was the name of that city builder that's like Terraria? Ratopia. It's not out yet. It's an itch.io demo. But it's a really good one from my experience. I am going to die, maybe. Because I don't actually have any healing here. Oh, nope. We got insta-gibbed by something. You'd think with all my armor, I would have maybe pulled it off, but I guess not. This is very much a, I don't want to say feast or famine, but either I insta-kib the bosses in a couple of seconds, or I get killed by them in one hit. You gotta keep an eye out for that whenever it comes to Steam. Don't worry, I will be streaming that one, and very much trying to promo it. I do think it is important, though, that reviewers should be kind of obvious of their honest with their biases, and saying, like, yeah, I absolutely suck at hard game, I'm dead. Yeah, that's not unexpected. But yeah, by saying, like, yeah, I suck at this kind of game, and normally don't like it, so that people can kind of align themselves with, align their expectations, so it's like, yeah, this is a person that is not going to be very good at Souls-likes, so if I'm really good at Souls-likes, their review is not going to be helpful. Why do I have an extra rune slot? Where'd that show up? How did I get that? Also, why do I not have the Barbarian? I've noticed some of the skill trees don't show up for whatever reason, which is annoying. I was thinking of Ratropolis when you said that. It's the same developers, which is probably why. I think this new patch is a little buggy. Oh well, that was fun all the same.